everyone, so I had a follow-up question from a viewer on my whole hand-done buttonhole series. If you hadn't seen it, I have a 3-week-long series that it shares all my knowledge about hand-done buttonholes. I've been doing them for about 5 years, and it's a wealth of knowledge, if I can say so myself. But I had a follow-up question from a viewer saying, how do you know where to put the placement, where to put your button, where to put your buttonhole? Fabulous question, and it's like, why didn't I think of that? So, well, there's a couple schools of thought, is that the phrase, when it goes to doing this. So you have, this is a scrap fabric. I just showed how to put on a button. That's another video if you want to check that out. But this is a scrap piece of fabric. If we can imagine that this is the fold, right? Down, so like this would be center back, somewhere around here would be a center back, and then this is the fold, and in between those areas of center back and the edge, whether that's a folded edge or two fabrics that have been stitched together and you have a seam right here, the distance in between those two is called the lap. It's kind of, I don't like to put steady hard rules to sewing. There's a couple of things you should follow, and it's because if you don't follow them, you have yourself a hot mess in a hurry, right? So I'm going to say some guidelines to this, and of course it's sewing you to you, but some guidelines to follow is that between, whether that's a folded edge or two pieces that have been stitched together, you have a seam, between the edge, the finished edge of your garment and center back or center front, wherever the garment is opening, you know, that lap section is supposed to be no less than 3/8 of an inch. It is sewing you do you. If you think a 1/4 inch is just darling in a certain instance, go for it. There is no lap police that's going to come and get you. But the guideline is 3/8 of an inch. So when you do that, then I've got Daisy here in the background. Let's do some drawing, shall we? Let's do a whole inch so I have a lot of more space to write. Okay, so between here, and we're going to call this center back in our case. So between here and the raw edge, that is called your lap. Where to put the button and the buttonhole? Well, let's talk about where to put the buttonhole, because that's going to dictate where the button goes, right? So what you're supposed to do is you're supposed to stand the button. Let me take a bigger button so you can see this better. You're supposed to stand the button on in. Really what you're trying to do is you're trying to get the width of the button. So in this case, this is a bigger button. This button is actually almost, I don't have calipers near me, but it's just shy of 1/8 of an inch. Okay? So if we were to put this like next to where that center back is and put a line, that's supposed to be where your buttonhole starts. And then you can put your button down. The buttonhole is supposed to be Daisy. So in my buttonhole series, I explained that I do the buttonhole length as just the length of the button, which, like I say, it's sewing you to you. It's worked for me for 5+ years. The guidelines that I'm going by say that you're supposed to do the thickness of your button and actually add that to the length. So while I would go from this mark to this mark, they're saying you need to actually add the depth of the button. It's sewing, you do you. Whichever way, like there's no right or wrong here. So I'm not trying to say my way is right and your way is wrong. I'm just presenting both of them because I've been asked this by a question. So then the next thing is that where does all of this end up? Okay, so whether you do my way, which is just the length of the button, or you do the other person's way, which is you add the depth of the button to the length, and that's your overall buttonhole length. Whichever way you go, where do you put all of this? So the guidelines say is that you take the radius of your button, okay? So you take the diameter divided by 2, that gives you your radius. And you're supposed to, whichever way you want to start, it's supposed to be from your finished edge to the start of your buttonhole is supposed to be the radius of that button. Now, if my garment up here, this was like the finished edge, okay, so maybe this is the back of the garment and that's like the top of the neckline. This is so not in proportion. I know it. Daisy, sweetie. This is so not in proportion. But these are supposed to be equal. So these are supposed to be both the radius of your buttonhole. Of your button. I want to keep saying buttonhole. I've done 3 weeks of buttonholes. But you're supposed to be the radius of your button. So this is a 1/2 inch. So in my case, is that 1/2 inch? No, that's 5/8 of it. That's 3/4. Oh my God, pass the coffee. That's 3/4. So this would be 3/8. 3/8 from here to here as well as from here to here. Hold on. Alright, I'm getting to help her. But yeah, so that is supposed to be the placement. Like I said, these are just guidelines. Nobody's gonna come and you know, there's no buttonhole police, there's no lap police, there's nothing like this, so it's sewing you to you. But these are the guidelines that I've learned from taking classes, various classes along the years. And, oh, let's not have tweezers. This was helpful. If you want to see how you can attach a buttonhole and not have threads on the underside, I have a whole nother video on that. You can go check it out. If you have any questions, put them down in the comments below and I will do my best to answer them. And as always, we appreciate y'all for watching and we'll catch y'all next time.